Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are continuing our masterclasses on how to open the third eye. I've got beautiful Angela Aurora Medway-Smith with me and beautiful Lana Louise, experienced, amazing spiritual teachers who taught us a lot yesterday and will continue today. So just to remind, yesterday we were laying the foundations for the third eye, understanding it better, making sure that we understand how to protect ourselves before we open the third eye. Very important thing. And I know both Lana and Angela are very, very keen on making sure their students are protected and don't skip that step, which is super, super important. So we can talk about that a little too, some tips and techniques. But I would just ask everyone who missed yesterday to watch it, because we benefit so much from that first session. It's been amazing. And today we are going to talk more about techniques and tips. So thank you so much for joining me. Angela, Lana, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Great, thanks. So I'm coming to you from Wales, from beautiful South Wales by the sea. And Lana's over in the US.
Yes, I'm in Massachusetts in the United States, in Boston, Massachusetts. So it's wonderful to be with everyone today around the world. How beautiful is this?
Yes, and unfortunately, Dr. Val, who was with us yesterday, could not join today due to her schedule with her travels. It just did not work for her to join us today, but she's with us, with her in her spirit, and we hope to see her tomorrow. So, ladies, how are we? Can we remind a little about that protection? Can we start from protection again? Because we will be talking about techniques on how to open the third eye. So can we just make sure that we emphasize that message of protection again, please?
Yes, absolutely. I'll chat for a little if that's okay. So it's common sense, really. You wouldn't leave your front door open while you're asleep, and you wouldn't walk around in a storm with no overcoat on or no umbrella to protect yourself. So similarly, before you open your energy body, you need to consider spiritual and psychic protection. Now, there are lots and lots of different tips and techniques, and different tips and techniques that actually align to different people, different practices. So, but very, very simply, if you develop a relationship with your guardian angel, with your guides, you can invoke them for protection. You can invoke the big guys, as I call them, the archangels. Archangel Michael is absolutely amazing. And, and it's about having the right protection for the work that you're doing. Especially when you're a beginner as well, it's useful to make sure that you are completely protected so that you don't open yourself up to any lower vibrations or negative energies. A good way of describing it, I don't know if you've seen the film Hocus Pocus. Do you know the movie I'm talking about, Monica?
I'm not sure if I see it.
Okay. So in Hocus Pocus, the children have a book, and when they open the book, it shoots this huge column of light out up through their house. And basically, that's what happens. When you open up, you are shooting a huge column of light up into the ether. And spirits of lower vibration may see that column of light and think, oh, what's going on here then? Let's go and have a little look. So in order to make sure that you don't make that mistake, it's about making sure that you have the protection. I mean, really, we were chatting about this before we came on camera, and I was saying that when I work psychically, basic protection with my guardian angels and my guides is perfectly sufficient if I'm working from home. If I work at a fair or a festival, or if I'm working somewhere else, I add another layer of protection. And I also protect the space I'm working in as well, to create a little bubble for the people who sit within that space. And I also do other work. So I do psychopomp work, which is about helping spirits cross over. And obviously, that's quite delicate and deep mediumistic work. So I need an additional layer of protection for that work. And, you know, the archangels are generally my go-to guides for that. But that's probably more than people need to know to start off with. But Lana, I'm sure you've got lots of ideas on protection, sweetheart.
Well, Angela, you pretty much summed all of it up, Again, when we were talking about this yesterday, a lot of people don't understand about the awakening or opening a third eye. And, a lot of people just want to go straight for it instead of knowing the responsibility, number one, making sure of your intention, understanding it because it's not all pretty sometimes. And also knowing the groundwork that you have to do with protection, your chakras, going through the chakras. And yes, there's time and time again, and I've seen it, and I'm sure you have too, Angela, throughout this, through your lifetime of teaching as well. A lot of people, they get really excited and because they don't know what to expect, or if they just want to feel that awakening, that energy, surge of energy, but they don't understand, one, properly how to do it, or two, really understanding it before you go in and do the steps to get to that awakening and to open up the third eye. So it is very important, especially with protection as well. Protection is the number one. And like you, I call my archangel in, depending on what modality and what type of session I'm serving at that point, whether it be psychically, whether it be mediumistically, whether it be working with lower vibrations as well, adding those layers on. And also, too, knowing what I want to play a role in and how I want to play a role in. And also being very aware and bringing my awareness in is to be completely protected and to be open to receive good, bad, or indifferent. So it is a complete process. And, not that we like to put fear, but it's like the one-on-one of knowing and how and doing it the right way as well. And I did agree with you too, Angela, yesterday to a point when you were talking about different, there was a question about using magic mushrooms or akasha and I answered
opening the third eye with the plants medicine. Yes.
Exactly. And to be honest with you, even in shamanism, they've never used that to open the third eye, although some people just want to get through it and try to get through the trauma because they're sick of suffering. But it's, to me, everyone's different. I've never done it. I can say right now, no. I want to go through my own proper process. Also, too, if you're dealing with something like that, of just opening the third eye and getting through your trauma, it's not that easy. It really isn't. And for me, myself, I can say, have a healer, or especially have a healer or a practitioner that knows what they're doing, being in their presence, guiding you through all the steps easily as well. So that's just my opinion as well, Angela and Monica.
Thank you so much. And I love that comparison about switching the light on and not being surprised if there are guests coming, and sometimes those guests are not welcome guests. So that's I guess a beautiful summary of how important it is to have boundaries even in the energetic world. So
boundaries is another subject, and that's as well as protection, you need to set intention. And when you begin working with spirit as well, working with spirit or opening your third eye or whatever you're doing in terms of spiritual development, it's about setting those boundaries, because I'll give you an example. It's the easiest way. So several years ago, I had some wonderful ladies rock up at my intuitive development classes that I ran locally. They're 22-week classes. So it was a really in-depth look at spiritual development, psychic development, and dipping toes into different areas so that people could understand which way they wanted to work. So as they walked in, they brought a whole host of spirits in with them, even though I'd set protection. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, what is going on here? 2 weeks later, fine, absolutely fine. I mean, one of these poor ladies was being plagued day and night by spirit and was being available to them. And they will be there for you, knocking at your door 24 hours a day if you let them. You have to set those boundaries, even sleep time boundaries, because a lot of us do spiritual work when we're asleep. So some nights I say, I'm far too tired to go out tonight. Sorry. It's setting those boundaries. Really, really important. But we're not here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about the third eye. So
going back to that question, how to open the third eye. What would be after the protection is taken care of? What would be your tips, your sort of ideas, techniques on how to open the third eye safely, of course, and ideally with the guidance of someone who is a spiritual teacher, practitioner?
Do you want to lead, Lana?
Oh, yes, please. So I agree with everyone. So people that are just joining on now a little bit too. So it's about the intention, the protection, being grounded, and then now as the tips and tricks. So now, even if you do it which is recommended at a very slow pace and learning, before we open the third eye, it's very important to understand to build the energetic foundation, the first 5 chakras, number 1. That's really the starting at the root of it all. So working with the lower level chakras, as well as moving up before you even jump to the third, to the 6th one, So that's very, very important, because a lot of people, again, they want to directly go into open that up, and it may cause trauma. And sometimes in the past, it's actually caused people for psychosis as well. So working through that, building the calling card, if you want to call it. Your calling card is who you're working with, your archangels, very important, your spirits, your guides, and everything else. I would tell you too, as you're going about this and doing your daily meditation and setting that intention and bringing in your calling card, setting that with peace and love and pulling in that protection within and around, and even the people you work with. As we do, like you said, Angela, when we do sleep, and like you and I, we're tired. We do work. We all need our rest, right? Whether you do this type of work or not. But our mind becomes very, very active because of the light, because of the pineal gland in the middle of the night. So what I will tell you, definitely for people, tips and tricks, start journaling. Write as much as you can about your dreams as well. And really, when you focus on when you do your meditation, on top of all of that, focus on your third eye, which is right in the center. Okay, because if it's not properly done, slowly doing exercises, and I don't want to give too much away, it won't be nice, it won't be pretty, and it won't be done properly as well. So, hello, Dr. V.
Yes, thank you, Lana. And we have Dr. V joining us. So hello, good afternoon to you. And thank you so much for making all this effort to join us, because I know it hasn't been straightforward. You are on mute, so you need to unmute yourself. Or I can unmute you. Yes, I could.
There we go. Yes.
Yes, you are.
It feels like Mercury went indirect on my laptop and on the internet in the UK, wherever I traveled. It didn't work. So it's unbelievable in this modern age and time that you can't find any Wi-Fi or hotel internet that works. Can't believe it, but it just happened to me over the last 24 hours. And yesterday my computer completely crashed, dead. So I missed a lot of what you people said. So
no, you are in the right time. We only started talking about techniques and tips on opening the third eye. We started from protection again, just to emphasize how important it is. I know we are all here in a massive agreement. We need to be prepared, and protection is #1 priority. So only now we started talking about tips on opening the third eye, and Lana emphasize again, preparation is important. So opening chakras and gradually getting ready for opening the third eye, so we can avoid the trauma of abrupt third eye opening.
Yes. I'm glad to keep on stressing that, because can I tell you some of my experiences about third eye opening, just to illustrate? So I was born with my third eye open. So I saw dead people the whole time. As a little girl, I always went to my parents at night and said, "There's a man in my room." And like, I was annoying my parents, because only after a few months' time, when I described the man that showed up every night in my room, and there was nothing dangerous about this man, but it was weird for me. So I always called my parents like, "Hey, there's a man in my room," in the middle of the night. Turned out it was my grandfather that I'd never known. But when I started describing the person who showed up every night, my father showed me a photo of somebody, and I said, "Yes, that's the man who's here every night." And it was his father, who had deceased before I was born. So that is just, and then, I mean, this is going completely the different way. My parents were Catholic. So in order to stop me from having an open third eye, my father every night prayed with me and did this cross thing on my third eye. And I think it's not a coincidence that with Ash Wednesday, they put like some ash on there, on the area of the third eye. I think, that, I mean, if everybody would walk around unprepared with the third eye, as Angela mentioned yesterday, they would be locked up in a mental institution. So, and then the second time I studied to become a medium, and my third eye opened one moment, actually unprepared. And I had terrible, terrible headaches. I couldn't sleep because there was like too much information. Like the room was full with 100 people that were not really there. So I couldn't sleep at all. Whenever I drove past the cemetery, I had all of these spirits come to me and talk to me. Like, "Can you go and tell my husband there's some money in the mattress?" and stuff like that. And there's a second time that I really had to learn how to close my third eye and to protect myself more and to be selective. And what worked really well for me is I did a meditation with my teacher where I kind of turned on a sign said "closed for business." Because I had too many people coming to talk to me. Have you seen that TV series Medium? Not only Medium, but also, that's very realistic in my opinion. And also the other one, The Ghost Whisperer. those are two of my favorite actors also. And I think it's very realistic what they describe in those TV series. So the third time it really annoyed me was when I was just going on a hike in Africa, and I ended up on a battlefield, not knowing that 200 years before there had been a serious battle with lots of people killed. So when I walked through the battlefield, all of these spirits started fighting with me, like they were still at war with each other, and they were just jumping on me and like fighting, and it's like they didn't realize they were dead. And I took all of that energy with me for a long time. So then I needed my spiritual teacher again to do lots of cleansing and healing on me to get rid of all of these souls that hadn't passed on yet. And we worked hard to motivate them to go to the light and all of that. So those are three of experiences that I have had. And clearly I wasn't well prepared, because I think you should be spiritually ready to deal with all of these things. And how many years does it take really to be spiritual ready to deal with these things on your own? I think many years.
I think we learn all the time, V, and Spirit sends us these challenges so that we can be better teachers. And I'm sure Lana can agree with that. You know, we've all had similar challenges over the years. But we were talking about the question we were addressing was what to do to open your third eye. We were talking about the techniques that we would suggest for people. So we started talking about protection, setting intentions, setting boundaries. I mean, a really simple boundary that I do is that before I even set my protection or intention or anything, I light a candle. I'm open for business, and I blow that candle out when I'm finished. It's That's simple.
With
and
any
similarly, with the intention. And similarly, when I open, I have already balanced. I open all my chakras, and when I finish, I close all my chakras. I am properly closed. But to open, not just the third eye, I'm going to talk generally about intuition now. There are lots of different tips and techniques that you can use. And one I use with my students from day one in my classes, so that they get an idea of how to work with the different clair senses, is, and I touched on it yesterday, clairtangency or psychometry. Really useful, working with photographs, working with jewelry, and then you can actually judge then whether or not your clairvoyance comes in, which is what's coming from your third eye, or which of the clair senses are actually more active within that individual. And then that's how I assess really how people are, and where to go next with them from. So that's a really simple practice, is just sitting quietly after you've set your protection and intention, and feeling what the vibration is that you're getting from a photograph. Now, I prefer to use photographs of people who are alive with my students, and then I'll suggest that they phone them up afterwards and see how they are. They've checked in with them, and then they can actually get an assessment of, oh yeah, actually, this is how they were feeling, and I was spot on. Not to say that they tuned into them, but so psychometry is really, really useful, and a good meditation practice, but meditation with intention. So not just random meditation, is actually setting the intention for a meditation and asking your guides and guardians to support you with that. That's something else I do on day one as well, is connect people with their guides and guardians so that they have access to their own spirit team. We do anyway, but it's useful if you can put a face or a name to it. So I don't know if you have any specific tips, Dr. V, on how to start working with your intuition.
Well, yes. In my angel school, I also to discuss the clairs and all the angels and archangels and introduce people through meditation to their own protective team, because I love empowering people to connect themselves with the angels, their guides and stuff. I don't want to do that for them. I want to teach them how to do it so that they can feel spiritually strong. Then the technique for opening the third eye, the ones that I've learned is a combination of breathing and closing your chakra. I mean, after you are aligned, closing your base chakra and then your sacral chakra by squeezing your lower abdominal muscles first, and keep on breathing. So it's kind of bringing the Kundalini energy up to your third eye, and then even squeezing your abdomen and holding the breath into your third eye with eyes closed. And after you set the intention and all of that, so then you get a feeling of this pulsating white light in your third eye. And that is the technique that I have learned to open the third eye. So what else did I want to discuss? Oh, yes. And one interesting exercise that I do with my students when we can meet in person is to stare at each other's third eye, like just face to face. And the first time I did that, I saw the previous lifetimes of the other person, like all these faces. His face changed constantly to all these previous lifetimes' faces. It was fascinating. This man had been mainly females. I saw all these female faces going past and past and past. And that was an amazing experience. So I strongly believe with the third eye, you can see past and future of yourself and others. So you really need to be prepared and are you ready to see, your grandfather's future? If it shows you that maybe he's going to be in a horrible accident, what are you going to do? So you kind of need to be spiritually ready again to deal with his knowledge. So this is my last thing I'm going to mention, the warning, whether you think you really want to see all these things and know all of this. Okay.
It kind of makes me think there is this saying that great knowledge comes with responsibility, obviously, and power. So yes, thank you so much for sharing. Amazing. Lana, would you like to add anything to this question? I know you've shared quite a lot already.
Yeah. So I think too, not to put fear, but to be realistic with everyone, to be honest with you. Again, it's the intention. Okay. And, taking classes, teaching classes, whatever, it's up to the individual. It's what their intention is. One, if you trust spirit, you have to trust spirit and yourself 100%. So we talked a little bit about past lives, right? So that goes into a whole other entity about dealing with people, traumas, but at the end of the day, being well prepared or protection, keep getting grounded, working with the clairs, understanding them, know what you're opening up, know that you have 100% trust in spirit. You trust them because it was the intention you put behind it. It was because of the love that you're putting behind it. Now, I'm not all rainbows and skittles because I've seen a lot. I've died 3 times. So I already know at 2 years old, but that was my own experience. Now, somebody, again, where we're going to be teaching on this platform, not everyone will have the same experience. Not everyone will have the same beliefs. So all I can do is tell you things that have worked for me, things that have worked for others. And when we teach our students as well, about the intuition, about trusting yourself, trusting spirit. That's number one. Before you even put the protection and everything, you have to build up that love and that trust for spirit so much that you already know that when you are ready to unfold and open, it will happen. Now, yes, there is trauma. It does become lonely, even with family, friends. Sometimes if it's not handled right, or if it's done, try to do very quickly, forcible. I didn't have to do it forcible and go, hey, I want to open up my third eye. or didn't even understand it because of my trauma in my 3 near-death experiences. So for anybody that's wanting to look into this, doing the work, the meditation, you can use crystals, you can use professionals like us, healing modalities, essential oils, which is extremely good because, again, not everything is for everyone. And so another one, like they do a lot of sound healing, you know, I cannot handle that. It's too strong for my ears. I've tried it. I've gotten beautiful bowls, medicine bowls for gifts. They're all through my house. And I'm like, it's just too strong because my vibration and that is so high. Even though I know how to shut it down, I just can't handle it. Other people may work fluidly. 80% of our body is in water. Okay. So even if you're near water, you may open up very easily. So there's a lot of different tips and tricks that everyone can use, but it's the healthy ones, the ones that works best for you. There's another one, tapping. You know, when yogis and Kundalini yogis for hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years, you're going to see, I have very good friends that own the house before me, they're Hindu. They have the red spot here. That's their third eye, which is connected to the pineal gland. Doing their exercises slowly every day on that center, closing the eyes and focusing on the center slowly, and doing that gently. Again, those are different tips and tricks. Some may work, that one will definitely work. I can tell you that one. That would definitely work. But it's really bringing about your awareness to the center, have all that groundwork, any healing modalities, gently having someone professional guide you through it. If you're wanting to learn more about this, sitting and meditating every day is so helpful. Your breath, to me, is the breath of God, the breath of source. So I try not to put too much fear into anything, even though I'm very well educated and rounded, okay? And like you, Dr. V, I've had, for me, when I was a child, I seen people, I seen spirits. And of course, at 2 years old, how are you supposed to know that? You might be scared or whatever. And how can you even possibly remember? But even people, as they get older, it may start happening and they don't even realize that their third eye is opening. Do different things, different traumas. So having those intentions is extremely, making sure it's done with love and light, protection, and do it gradually and slowly, and doing the exercises properly with professionals that can train you, and light management, which would be very, very important as well. So that's my take on all of this. I hope I didn't overtalk too much.
No, that was beautiful. Yes, Angela, and I also, I've got a question, so connected to what Lana said. Yeah.
Oh, right. I just wanted to elaborate a little bit about crystals and sound. So if you're looking for crystals that can support third eye opening, then you're looking for crystals that are more or less the same color as the third eye and the crown chakra. So you're looking for amethyst, you're looking for lapis lazulite. So you're looking for sodalite, you're looking for the blue stones. So, but if you do start working with crystals, then you have to understand how to look after them. And you have to make sure that the crystals that you purchase are ethically sourced, because otherwise they will carry a not as high a vibration. So be very selective on when you're working with crystals and the crystals that you buy. Sound, as I'm a crystal, as well as working with angels, I'm a crystal healer and sound healer and shamanic practitioner. So as a sound healer, I often integrate the solfegio frequencies, the solfegio in my healing sessions and even with classes. And so the solfegio frequencies, for anybody who doesn't know, are the frequencies of our planet, and that they are aligned to I mean, Lana's probably going to say, "Oh no, not for me,"
What?
but with the solfegio frequencies,
Sounds.
but the different frequencies can achieve huge things. So my favorites are 432 hertz, which is really good for just clearing space, clearing negativity. 528 hertz, which is fabulous for any form of healing. There are specific frequencies for opening the third eye as well. So, but I would say be cautious about it. And before you go over to YouTube and start looking for them, make sure that you've sorted out protection and you've got your intention. Because who knows what might happen when you hit those frequencies. It can be very interesting. So sorry, Monica, your question.
No, you bring so much wisdom. I want to listen all of you talking because it's fascinating. But yes, I mean on the subject of sound baths, it's interesting what you said because I participated in a few live sound baths, and overall it was an amazing experience. But there were certain sounds which drove me mad. I don't know. I mean, they were hitting just that sort of something in me. Some people love them. For me, they were just not working. I'm more of the flute girl and sort of higher notes, the very low sounds, the low sort of lower vibration. They were just not for me. So it's absolutely interesting that's how it works. That's how we tune in or not into the sound.
Yeah.
But it's a great experience also in terms of healing, isn't it? It's just
absolutely. Well, we all have our own unique vibration.
Right.
So the vibration of the crystals that we're attracted to and the sound that we find comfortable is going to be different for everybody. And this will change as well. So don't think, oh, well, that works for me, and then the following week it doesn't. I just say to people, be intuitive about it and find out what works for you. But coming back to the third eye, is there anything else that you wanted to cover this evening, Monica?
Yes, if I may, I just wanted to wrap up with one question, and Lana mentioned that, and I can see Dr. V wants to add something. Would you like to add something now? I can ask that question later.
Yes, I just wanted to add some of the experience about sound healing for me. It's interesting that you like the high sounds, and when I was very ill, I went to Buddhist retreats where they blow that horn that comes from Nepal or whatever. And I love that vibration. And that's a very low vibration, but I could feel like it going through my body, my cells, my DNA. For me, it was so cleaning. It's like blah, blah, blah. The sound waves just took away a lot of stuff that I was ready to let go, toxins, whatever. I felt that on such a physical level because I was physically very ill and full of toxins. So that's just one of my experiences. And I chose my own bells for what I like, what feels good to me. And I chose my own singing bowl in the shop. I tried all the singing bowls until I found the one that sounds good to me. And I use that just to clear my rooms. I find it helps, to chase some negative energies away. And the last thing I want to add to sound therapy is that I love listening to Deva Premal singing mantras. And I find like if you have visitors in your house and you want them to leave, if you put that on and they're not spiritual, they probably will leave. Because it's a very high vibration sound and a lot of people can't stand it. I've noticed that. So that is just like a little insider trick.
Amazing.
Yes. And the last thing, the same thing with the crystals. If you work in a crystal shop, if you walk into a crystal shop looking for lapis lazuli or whatever, what I like is holding them in my hands and then just... Well, first of all, you look and you see which one is catching my eye, because it's almost like with a kitten where the crystal chooses you. And like with kittens, you wait for the kitten to walk to you and say, okay, you're going to be mine. You want to be with me. And it's the same with crystals. I find the one that catches your eye and then you hold it and it feels good. that's the one that I would say start with that one. Yeah, this is just two of my tips that I wanted to add.
Absolutely. It's all about being intuitive.
And again, it's so interesting that we are having your different perspectives, because it comes from your personal experiences, but we meet here to discuss the same subject, and you've got very similar tips and advices, and obviously you emphasize, all of you, how important the protection is. So let's emphasize it again. Please make sure that you are protected before you start playing with opening of the third eye. But those tips, those techniques we mentioned are generally good for raising vibration, aren't they? So whether it's a sound healing, whether it's crystals, whether it's meditation, they are all good things which we can use to help ourselves on daily basis, presumably. And my question, Lana touched on that, is when you mentioned, Lana, that some people are walking around with the third eye open without even knowing, without realizing. So how do we know? How do we know our third eye is open? Let's sort of close our discussion on that one.
Oh, you'll know. So like we were talking about yesterday, oh, you definitely know. First of all, I do want to add too, with not only even just the oils that you can use or crystals and stuff, frankincense, sage is very, very good to either burn, cleanse, bowls or whatever. I can't handle a high pitch. Everybody is on vibration. Everybody's tone and vibration is differently. And I do agree with Angela, it will change, because the vibrations I could listen to before, now it's like either they're boring or they bother me. So it does change. All frequency changes, just like this world, right? The world is constantly changing. Also, too, I find when you change your diet, to eat cleaner and healthier. So essential oils, crystals, what resonates with you, making sure that they come from a good, really good source. Tapping exercises, working eye exercises on the eyes as well. You can do meditation with crystals also, or working with, again, making sure that you understand what color, like we said, the indigo blue, the purples, what's best for you. But as far as in working with other healers, professionally trained healers or Reiki masters, or healers themselves. So as far as, what was the question again? I'm so sorry. I just want to make sure I had to get that out first.
No. It's absolutely fine. We've covered so much. It's wonderful. I was just teasing a little here, asking how do we know when the third eye is open? Because I think I agree that we can't miss it, but maybe we can specify a little more.
I know my whole life, when your third eye opens up, or whatever experience you've had, especially awakening or a third eye, depending on how it is, everyone's different. Somebody may feel very euphoric, feel like they're on this natural high, that it's so beautiful. Others may feel very traumatized, very lonely, fearful. They start going into whatever they've been through in the past, if it's shown to them. And I've had those, even though my first age of crossing over at 2, it was my past lives. And I already met my future grandparents and great ancestors, and what I've already been through at 2 years old, which was very traumatic. And I didn't even know. The only reason why I knew, later on in life, I went under hypnosis, and it all came out. And then having my other 2 near-death experiences. So you will definitely know one way or another. You will feel very different. And, I totally agree. Professional and, ethically, sometimes it, again, it may not as though you opened up your third eye purposely. Maybe it just happened, Maybe you just had the awakening or some type of trauma. And then, but when you're practicing everything that we covered in being true to yourself, being true to spirit, knowing who you're working with, that if they are professional and that they have different modalities, not everything is going to resonate with everyone. I try to be professional, ethical, and I also know that what needs to be done in my own experience, as well as trying to train like we are trying to train others here professionally. And there's things that I may use and may not use, and that's fine. And Dr. V and Angela may use other modalities, which is fantastic. So we got 3 great wealth of information instructors here from all over the world, which is great. But I definitely feel as though you will definitely know. Some may be nice, some may not be nice. So I hope that answers everyone's questions.
Beautiful. Dr. V, yes, please join.
Hi, I just have a list of signs that you will experience when your third eye opens. And you can have like pressure in the temples and headaches, like I described before. You can even have bad headaches. And that especially when your kundalini rises and your crown is not open. I mean, it has to keep on moving. Otherwise, these headaches are pretty typical. And also, you will start seeing new things. So you will also see the truth in situations. Also, you will start to notice who is telling the truth and who's not. Yeah, I have a word in my head, but it's not very polite. But it's like a truth sense. It's very important. So you will start choosing to be with certain people more than with other people. What else? Very wild dreams. So that's why you advise to write down your dreams. Also, I think spontaneously people start to eat more consciously and take food that is higher in energy and cleaner and all of that. So also when your third eye is open, you might become more sensitive to light and sound, which is something that Lana described already. The other thing that I've noticed is when your third eye has been open for a while and you're spiritually awake, you start thinking more seriously about the future, and not only your future, your family's future, but the future of mankind, the planet. So you have like a real broad view and caring for the future of everything and everybody. You also start to see like the unity between the physical and the spiritual. So I always used to say alignment of mind, body, and soul. That was my goal in life. And during all of the things that I learned, starting with medical school and Reiki and angel healing and the journey and life coaching, and I find like I have the complete package now, because if we really want to be aligned, we need to be, all on the same wavelength. You can't think this way and then, do a meditation about you want to be a medium or something, but on the other hand, you still have a lot of negative thoughts or judgments about other people. It's just not aligned. That's why we come back to the whole alignment of all the chakras, but also in your daily life. You kind of need to walk your talk and be genuine and have integrity. I find that very important. Also, you will start to see more synchronicities when your third eye is open, and listen to them. So when something happens, you don't immediately get angry if it's something negative. You think like, oh, maybe I should not drive that way. Or like often when I'm like stuck in traffic, I think like, oh, I'm so happy that I got here late, because if I got here earlier, I would have been part of the accident. So even like running late becomes a positive, or, you just think like the timing is really good for me, whether it feels like it's a negative thing that happens or a positive thing that happens. So that is at least 10 things that are signs that your third eye is opening that I just mentioned. So I can type it out for people if they want to, and give it as a little present.
we can put it in the comments. Angela, you want to add something? And well, I'm so happy you mentioned the traffic, because I keep stopping myself from thinking horrible things about drivers who cut into my way and don't, do silly things. And I'm stopping myself, sort of zipping my mouth, thinking maybe they are just rushing, maybe they just had a bad day like I used to have. So that's a good one, to be aware of our thoughts as well. Yes, that integrity is amazing. Thank you. Angela, I'm leaving you voice.
Yeah, I mean, Will just summed it up really, but the only thing that I would add is that it's clear sight, clairvoyance of the bigger picture, and the fact that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and it's just, and our connection to all that there is. That's really what happens when you're fully aligned and your third eye is open. So I've got my own tip for being stuck in traffic or really bad drivers. I don't know if you're familiar with the Hawaiian Ho'oponopono. Yeah, that's my thing. Because I'll start to go, and then I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you. And then that completely changes the vibration. So that's the top tip for traffic. Get people to look at the Ho'oponopono.
Amazing, and so helpful as well. We've all been there. We are only, as you beautifully summarized, we are having a human experience, and we are all in it, so with our emotions and challenges. So thank you so much. There was so much wisdom. We had quite a few people watching. Thank you everyone who was with us, and who is going to watch it on a replay, because it stays on in the group and on the page. We had Stacy, we had Patrick watching with us, so thank you so much. There are some other people I only see as Facebook users, so I'm so sorry. I can't mention your name here. We had a question about an example of exercises to do to help and open to help open the third eye, but I think we've pretty much covered it. It's very individual. It's not a set for all. It's being responsible means also having a relationship with people we are advising to. So we are not crossing that thin line of not taking responsibility. But whatever you do, let's wrap up with that, going back to the beginning of our conversation, which is whatever you do, please remember about spiritual protection, setting up intentions, boundaries, and making sure that you are staying safe. We will be back tomorrow to summarize, to discuss a bit more. So there will be also an opportunity to ask questions. Use this opportunity. We've got 3 amazing teachers, spiritual teachers here. And I'll be also making announcements how you can benefit from something we've organized, we put together with Angela, Lana, Dr. V, the 5th of June. So I promise it will be worth learning about it, because it is truly amazing. So thank you so much for watching, but thank you so much for contributing. Angela, Lana, Dr. V, you are absolutely amazing. I love you all, and I can't wait till tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Monica. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.